Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
All right, happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your TV and radio. Hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic. Folks, this is the broadcast for November the 12th in the year of our Lord 2025, promoting God, family, country, protecting life, liberty, and property, and doing so in the traditions of our founding fathers, ladies and gentlemen. Lance Migliaccio with me, the big Mig, if you will, himself. Believe it or not, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they don't want to hear. Hey, man, musicians, I'm just telling you right now, you might not want to hear this, but listen up, baby.
Every scar's a story that I survived. I've been through hell, but I'm still alive.
You're going to start singing, Lance? Come on, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to sing yet. I'm not sure I'm warmed up enough.
AI is passing up to Migliaccio.
Moving forward, never looking back, with a worn-out hat and a six-string string.
Ladies and gentlemen, why are we playing this song to kick off the broadcast today? Because it's not a person. It's AI. I kid you not. AI, ladies and gentlemen, Walk My Walk is the name of the song, and it launches to the top of the U.S. sales charts.
So kick them rocks. If you don't like how I talk, I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk.
All right, you can go ahead and fade that out. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. It's not really a real song in the sense that it's not a human. It's not an artist. It's an AI-created song, and it rocketed to the top of the charts, changing the game in AI. Y'all thought it was, not here and it'll be here in a couple of years, or, I can always tell an AI something from I don't think so. Top of the sales chart, Lance. Kick it off. What do you say to that?
Well, look, first of all, I think it is a real song. I know you said it's not a real song, but again, it is music. It is somebody singing. Of course, it isn't a real person. And I think this is the future of AI. This doesn't really surprise me. I've been saying it for, I don't know, probably the last 14, 12 months to people, that I thought Hollywood was dead for a number of reasons. And they said, well, what do you mean? And I said, I think it's going to get more and more complicated, because if you take AI and you can analyze, say, a singer, or you can analyze in AI, let's say you take the top 100 most successful country music songs, and you look at the elements that made those songs successful. Was it the person? Was it the lyrics? Was it the rhythm? Was it the cadence?
The gravel in the voice? What is it?
Right. You take that and then you say to AI, well, those are the 100 most successful songs. What I want you to do is to create a chart-topping #1 hit based on all the things that made these previous hits successful. And clearly it did that. That's a great song.
Yes,
I have
it
to
did.
tell you. I don't listen to a ton of
I don't
country
mean to say
music,
it's not a
but
real song in the sense that it's not music. What I'm trying to get people to understand is it's not an artist generated. You're not going to get, unless you do an avatar or something like that, you're not going to get a person on the stage with their guitar. If all of a sudden the electricity went out and they're going to do an unplugged version, it ain't going to happen, right?
Listen, I agree with you 100% about that. And my thought on this, though, but now if you took a celebrity and you take the top male celebrities, right, that are in Hollywood, that are successful. You take The Rock, you take Sylvester Stallone, you take whoever it is. You say to AI, you say to AI, I want you to create a handsome, successful, based on these characters, a new Hollywood celebrity that fits all these dynamics. Because I've seen some AI creation. There's a group out of Hollywood that's been talking to me a little bit, because we were discussing commercials and all sorts of things. And they showed me what they created in AI. Now, in movies, of course, there's 360s, there's 180s, there's drone shots, there's backup shots, there's all these different crazy things. Well, AI can do all of that without any of the costs. So you tell me, right. Do you want to pay a singer a crazy amount of money for their contract? Or would you rather create music that appeals to the majority of the population, or create a movie that appeals, or a movie character that appeals to the majority of the population, and not have to pay anything other than the cost of the person that's running your AI? That's the future.
Right. And that is the quintessential future we talked about on this broadcast several months ago, this AI, I don't want you talk media company that's basically creating AI talk shows, and they're releasing, I can't remember what it was, like thousands of shows a month or something like that.
Yeah.
And, you're starting to see all that. And the question becomes, does it mean that society, media, news, celebrities, movies, that it's all dead? That's what they want you to believe. And I reject that notion. I don't think so. I think that there's going to be a blend of human creativity supported by AI. So AI is going to make good people pretty dang good. It's going to make great people incredible. It's also going to start to separate people, because if you don't know how to use AI properly, it's going to kind of dumb you down, lead you astray, give you false information. If you don't know how to double check it, if you don't know how to put a check on it or control it, I always, in my technology talk show, I say, let tech serve you, not own you. And that kind of really makes the point that we're talking about here. I think AI is incredible. I think it's here to stay. I think it's going to change the world like you wouldn't believe. At the same time, I don't believe humans are done, though. Think about the Industrial Revolution or any other, the dot-com bust or whatever you want to talk about. Everybody always thought, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world, or no one's going to have a job anymore. It never turns out that way. It always turns out different than we project, but yet it will be life-changing in so many ways it's not even funny, Lance.
Well, I agree with you, but I'm going to take it a step further. Let's say, hypothetically, that somebody wants the golden voice of Sam Bushman, and they want to create a show around that. But they don't necessarily want Sam to host full time, but they know Sam's voice is iconic. So they go to Sam Bushman and they say, Sam, we want to purchase the right to use your voice for this brand new show we're doing. We love your voice. It's going to be a show on American history, and we think you're the perfect fit. What we want to do is we want to pay you a fee for the first use of the voice, and maybe it's $100,000, and we want to be able to clone your voice. And we'll do it with your approval. We'll make sure that the show meets all of it. And then you're going to be paid a royalty on the show. But you're not going to have to do the show, because AI is going to create all the details of the show. But it's going to sound like Sam Bushman. And potentially, if they want to add video, it could look like Sam Bushman. I wonder if that's not where the market's
they'd want to make
head.
it sound like Sam and look like Lance is what they'd probably want to do. But
I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe they want somebody with hair. My bald head, the glare off the head could cost.
That's right.
That could have
That's
extra editing costs they might not want to take. But the point is, you see what I mean? You could take The Rock.
Without a doubt.
They could say to The Rock, you'll never have to do another movie again, but we want to take you and we want to continue forward for the next 50 years of The Rock. Because remember, big celebrities age, right? The golden voices, Rush Limbaugh, he's no longer with us. Maybe the Rush Limbaugh family could make a deal with somebody to bring Rush back in AI. I'm not saying that wouldn't be a disservice to Rush. I'm just saying this is a possibility.
Yeah, it's a possibility. It's not only a possibility,
right.
It's a reality. And then what they might do is they might take The Rock or take a Rush Limbaugh, and they might add the nuances. Just imagine if we were to import or ingest is the term that all of Rush Limbaugh's, stuff. And then we were to index it, AI it, add it to modern day news and intelligence, and come back with a better, smarter, faster, more agile AI Rush Limbaugh. He used to say, I can, take everybody on with my arms tied behind my back or whatever. Hey, you can add to that, and this thing could be wicked smart, and you could interview modern day Rush or what. I'm telling you, this stuff's happening. The creativity will be there, but I'm going to tell you from experience that we believe that, hey, nobody will have a gig anymore in the world. It isn't true. Things will change substantially. There's no doubt about it. But it will not be all encompassing like we think. In other words, what's the value if everybody sits around with nothing to do and AI entertains us all? At some point, are you going to get sick of that, Lance?
I don't know, but here's a frightening idea. Think about this. If you took Rush Limbaugh and now AI is running our animated AI Rush Limbaugh, and now Rush Limbaugh has access to all the data around the globe.
That's
clearly
right.
at his fingertips, because of course AI
wicked
can do
smart.
So
Rush
it makes
Limbaugh.
it incredibly smart. Now, as you're interviewing, right? And of course, Lance misquotes. Lance is being interviewed by the Rush Limbaugh, and Lance makes a mistake and mentions Nancy Pelosi when it was really Jasmine Crockett that said something. Imagine the difficulty if you make a mistake and you think you're right. And of course, now Rush says, well, no, that's not true. That quote's attributed to Nancy Pelosi. You would have to be really, really on your toes, because let's face it, when you go to AI and you ask questions, you may know a lot about a specific topic. There are many topics I know a lot about, but I don't necessarily know everything. and I go to AI and I ask a question, it will give me a more detailed version of my knowledge base, which I can use at a later date.
Sure.
And I think,
and it might also have updates or details that you don't have. It might have a nuance that you've overlooked. It might have, I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And the problem is eventually, AI can make humans look stupid. Because it's just so smart, it can go off on a topic. Even if I understand the topic incredibly well, that doesn't mean that I can give you a summary on the fly as good as AI can. AI can pull all the details together. It can write an article in seconds. Anyway, it's going to be very interesting. Our guest might have a little bit of tidbit on this topic. What do you think?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I'm excited. Our next guest, you guys, you're going to love this guy. I had him on my show the other day. Incredible knowledge base, and we did discuss AI. This is a perfect segue.
You're watching and listening to Liberty Roundtable Live with Lance Migliaccio and yours truly, a guest, incredible guest coming up.
The Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit legal foundation committed to protecting our unalienable right to publicly acknowledge God. The Foundation for Moral Law exists to restore the knowledge of God in law and government and to acknowledge and defend the truth that man is endowed with rights not by our fellow man, but by God. The foundation maintains a twofold focus. First, litigation within state and federal courts. Second, education. Conducting seminars to teach the necessity and importance of acknowledging God in law and government. How can you help? Please make a tax-deductible contribution, allowing foundation attorneys to continue the fight. You may also purchase various foundation products as well at morallaw.org. Located in Montgomery, Alabama, the Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3 founded by Judge Roy Moore. Please partner with us to achieve this important mission. morallaw.org.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement, how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at CSPOA.org. That's CSPOA.org.
Well, welcome back to Liberty Roundtable Live with your host, Sam Bushman. Of course, myself along for the ride today, Lance Migliaccio, the Big Mig. Excited to be here, and thanks for all you guys tuning in. Sam, what's happening, brother?
I'm telling you right now, we were talking about AI. We're talking about this unique country song, Walk My Walk. It is a song. I don't mean to say it's not real. It's an AI real song. Listen to it. It's real. It's music. It can touch your emotions. It can do all these things. AI is here to stay. But I want to caution people that AI will not be so holistic that no one can survive anymore. We'll talk about that. Our guest, Larry Sanger, with us. This guy is the president of the Knowledge Standards Foundation. You say, what's that? Well, he's the best known co-founder of Wikipedia, is who he is. You want to learn more? LarrySanger.org. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me.
All right, catch me up then. Let's just start back in the day. This is incredible. You got on a project working for somebody, and it blew up, didn't it?
Yes, in just a few months, actually. It was amazing. Back in 2001, it felt like we simply stumbled on an incredible idea that had never been tried before.
It was something that what did you expect it to be at first? Because I think that the understanding of what it could become more faster than you guys were ready for it almost, right?
What I expected it to be is actually just a feeder project for a pre-existing. So my concept of what it was going to be didn't really matter. I actually thought that it was going to be just a side project of the main event, Newpedia. Nobody remembers Newpedia anymore. And so the tail started wagging the dog, as it were.
Now, you're a philosopher, a technology innovator, not to mention an advocate for unbiased knowledge. And so this thing turned out, whenever we start a project, we think, oh my gosh, this is going to be incredible. It's going to bring knowledge and information and everybody to the fingertips. You never kind of weigh the good and the bad and the ugly of stuff when it's first kind of brainchild status, right?
Well, I suppose that's true. I mean, I guess that's true of a lot of innovators, in technology and science. They don't really consider the consequences. Part of the problem is it's hard to predict what's going to happen. You've just got a vague idea of, well, we can just have everybody come together on a web page. Anyone can edit any page. Anyone can start a new page, and it's all organized in a very collaborative way. Who knows where that's going to go? I had no idea. Good people doing good things. It's going to turn out right. They never expected The View to be on TV when they started TV Lands. They had no idea it would turn to that, buddy.
Yeah, no. There's no doubt. And that's the thing. Things transition so quickly when they take off. But for the audience, I want to make sure they're aware, Larry is the founder, or at least one of the founders, of Wikipedia. And you guys know what a phenomenon Wikipedia is. And it was, collective wisdom, it's free, it's editable, online encyclopedia. Of course, it's powered by wiki software, and it really kind of democratized knowledge. Now, I know it's taking a different turn here in the future, but we're talking about the original product, and it was co-founded by Larry Sanger and Jimmy Wales. And everybody thought it was going to be Newpedia, but Wiki took off. And I have to say, Larry, I used it so much in the very beginning. I was probably burning up your server time. I used so much.
Huh. That's very interesting. Yeah, there were some early adopters. I mean, it became a household name as early as, I would say, 2005 or so.
And the interesting thing, Larry, about this is we all start out, the internet was kind of that way too. When the internet was born, it was kind of military driven and university driven back in the early days. And people didn't really even think much about security or think they were going to have to control it. They just thought, hey, good people can contribute to this thing. I can connect to you. You can connect to me. We can do all these awesome things. Lo and behold, the dark horses come out and things start to change before our very eyes. What happened to Wikipedia along the way?
Well, the interesting thing is, Wikipedia was a product of that era of the internet, which was totally libertarian. Like I and my friends thought, well, I was a little skeptical of this, but generally it was believed that people, or that the internet was free, would always be free, and it almost had to be free. Like one of the catchphrases was, "Information wants to be free." And the thing is, well, it doesn't really want to be free if the powers that be don't want it to be free. I guess that's what we have learned. And that's only because they spent years and years essentially locking it down and getting control of all of the different big platforms, and actually reducing the internet to what used to be a multi-on-ramp just collaboration among millions of people to a few big platforms, outlets that everybody has to connect to in order to make any difference online. So I think it alarmed the establishment when Wikipedia was becoming popular that things were essentially out of their control. And they got people, another good example actually is YouTube. If you remember back in the earliest days of YouTube, between 2005 and 2010, YouTube was a different place. It had a lot of cool, sort of quirky videos that were very creative, and it was definitely a free. It was
unfettered and let the genius of America shine, didn't it, sir?
It did.
Yeah, it did. I agree.
Yes, and then they essentially turned the screws between 2010 and 2015. Basically, it was taken over by, well, who knows exactly, but it was rules were imposed so that that spirit of freedom from the first few years is just gone. The same thing happened on Wikipedia.
Ladies and gentlemen, look, I do a technology TV show called Tech Watch Radio. We keep an eye on tech so you don't have to. And I make my living in tech, as everybody knows. But I want to say this. I always talk about let technology serve you, not own you. And that's something we really need to think about when it comes to AI, Wikipedia, the repositioning of YouTube, and everybody getting kicked off and deplatformed and marginalized and shut down and shadow banned, and we can keep going, right? But the issue isn't technology. Larry, technology, from a philosophy point of view, is not good or bad. It's in whose hands it rests, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not really sure what to add to that. I mean, of course, it's extremely important that we continue to have autonomy in the way that we use technology. That's going to be hard going forward with AI, in addition to the necessity. Basically, AI, the big danger, I think, going forward with AI and its threat to our autonomy is that, as we've already seen on social media, a lot of the posts that we see look like they come from bots. And ultimately, the only way that we're going to be able to distinguish a human being from a bot, like after a couple of years anyway, will be if we use a confirmed account, a digital ID, and that is basically, you're going to have a digital ID to do anything on the internet. And then the question is, who owns your digital ID? And that's a very sort of scary thought, because ultimately it is a reaction to all the inconveniences of AI, I think, that might cause the government, to cause people to call on the government to get serious about the idea of a centrally owned digital ID.
So what happened to Wikipedia then? If it's in your hands and Jimmy's hands and stuff, hey, you guys just want to see technology happen. You want to see knowledge, transferred. You want to see everybody collaborate and have a great time. It's just this incredible tool. I mean, that's your kind of vision. What happened? How did it morph?
And can I jump in there for a second, Sam? Just
Please.
Let me make this comment, because I think this is really important, even for the audience. So you have to look at Wikipedia. I think at its launch, it was the perfect neutral beacon of human knowledge.
Absolutely.
All the voices were open. I think the core principles that were brought to it by Larry and the rest of the team were neutral point of view, right? There was policies that they had.
It was based on facts: who, what,
right.
when, where, why. It was detailed oriented, right?
Exactly.
It was factual. It was verified. Keep going.
And I agree. And I think in the beginning, I loved it so much because it was neutral. You could get information. I grew up, and Sam, I'm sure you did. My family had a big Britannica encyclopedia. We got the renewals. I would pour through the details. I loved the information.
And I had the 1828 dictionary too. Come on.
Yeah, and I used to love to read it. You read the Bible, you read your Britannica, encyclopedia, and the whole world
full
opened
of
up
information and historical knowledge. It was incredible, right?
Right. And when I saw Wikipedia, I was like, and I didn't know Larry then. I only got to know Larry recently. I was like, this is such a stroke of genius. Because I was one of those early adopters of the internet. I had a 386 DX 16 megahertz computer. I think I paid $4,000 for, Sam. And I remember going on there and I was doing some DOS and I was doing this. And then AOL came out. You've got mail.
Oh, yeah.
And
buddy.
when I saw Wikipedia, it was an epiphany moment for me. But I don't, Larry, I have to ask you, what kind of core principles did you
All right, hold on. Hold your
with?
question till after the pause so we can get a chance to just rock and roll on it, ladies and gentlemen. Our guest,
absolutely.
Larry Sanger, ladies and gentlemen, co-founder of Wikipedia. To learn more, LarrySanger.org. We're running into trouble when it comes to Wikipedia and modern technology with people controlling it, right? There's a problem and there's a solution. This is Liberty Roundtable Live. That means we always get to the solutions, ladies and gentlemen. Hang tight, Big Mig, yours truly, and Larry. Continue in seconds. You're watching and listening to Liberty Roundtable Live.
protecting your liberties. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. In its 43rd day, the government shutdown could soon end. Today, the House is expected to vote on a bill to reopen the government, sending the measure to President Trump for his signature. They did their duty, and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says they deserve a reward.
The air traffic controllers who didn't miss a day, they came for every scheduled shift that they had, they should get a bonus. Now, I don't know how many there are going to be. We have to do that analysis. But I'm aligned with the president. We are going to pay them a bonus. It'll be $10,000, depending on how many we have. They should come to the White House, and he should present them with their checks.
Airlines have canceled more than 9,000 flights across the country since the FAA ordered flight reductions late last week. And the pace of airline ticket sales for Thanksgiving travel has slowed as would-be flyers reconsider their plans. Overruling lower courts, the Supreme Court has extended an order that blocks full SNAP food aid payments. Lower courts ordered the administration to pay 100% of the benefits, but Congress has yet to allocate funds to do so. So the Supreme Court has, in effect, decided to allow the legislative process to run its course. It's been a frigid winter so far, even though winter has yet to officially arrive.
We actually had quite a few records that were actually broken in terms of for cold temperatures. They're like record low temperatures for the daily. And a lot of them are situated across the southeast, especially Florida, the central Gulf Coast, and then into portions of the lake, from basically Mississippi eastward. There were a fair amount of areas that broke some records.
Scott Kleebauer at the National Weather Service. On Wall Street, the Dow off to a strong start. The blue chip index is up 401 points, and the NASDAQ is down 64. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
Get ready to be part of something incredible. We're breaking barriers and delivering the powerful stories that mainstream media won't touch. Your support is what fuels our mission to revolutionize journalism and bring you the truth. Join our passionate community of changemakers by donating at libertynewsradio.com today. Together, we're creating the future of news.
Do you know what is great about America? Ask an Immigrant. Ask an Immigrant is a new podcast dedicated to helping Americans, especially our youth, value, appreciate, and be grateful for the freedoms we have here in America. Join host Lydia Wallace-Nuttall as she interviews immigrants from around the world to discover their inspiring personal stories about why they came to America. To learn more about why America is the most prosperous, greatest country in the world, download the Loving Liberty app or go to lovingliberty.net.
Press 1. To change your message, press 7.
Hey, Mom, Dad, Mark here. Wow, I love college, really. I never knew living on my own could be so, good for me.
To change your message, press 7.
So, here I am at college. It's cool. Well, of course, it's only been a week.
To change your message.
Hey, it's me. I was just remembering that time I hit my first home run, through the garage window. Thanks for not being mad. No.
To change.
Hi. Boy, I miss you guys. I miss my room. I miss waking up to warm socks straight from the dryer. Warm socks.
Family. Isn't it about time?
Hi, it's Mark. Love you guys. I'll call you later.
From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they don't want to hear. And you might not want to hear this about AI, about Wikipedia, about what's happening in the tech world. But, folks, there's an evil takeover they're trying to put in place. You and I can and will stop it. I have a humble view that calm heads will prevail over time. Lance Migliaccio with me, the Big Mig. We've also got our dear new friend, Larry Sanger, with us. He's the co-founder of Wikipedia. He's a philosopher, a technology innovator, an advocate for unbiased knowledge. He's got a philosophy degree and everything else from Ohio University. The guy's brilliant. When he came up with Wikipedia, everybody went, wow, that's incredible. Imagine an encyclopedia that could be updated virtually instantly. It started out incredible, ladies and gentlemen, but there's problems. It's been kind of taken over and co-opted by the left-wing bias and more. Thus, your question, Lance? Uh-oh, we lost Lance. You with me, Lance? All right, Larry, I hope you're still here, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was muted, Sam. I was muting him.
No problem. You're good.
Make any noise.
Go, buddy.
So here's what it is. My question is, Larry, it started out so perfect. You guys had created something that was going to be universally used all over the globe. And, what do you think? What did you do to maybe stop it from becoming a digital Tower of Babel? What was the plan? Because right away it hit, 6 million English articles so fast. And I'm sure you kind of at that point said, wow, we've got to do this.
I'm kind of embarrassed to say that, in those first couple of years of working on free encyclopedias, it was, we didn't have any long-term plan. It was hard enough just to get the thing off the ground in a way that worked, that actually attracted a lot of people. The problems of scale, of a lot of people causing a lot of damage, and especially damage to reputations, and using the platform as a mouthpiece of the establishment, such problems weren't even on the horizon, so we hadn't planned to defeat them. The only thing that I really regret that I thought about at the time is I never actually started an editorial assembly, a legislature. There really is nothing like a leadership organization within Wikipedia. You'd think there would be one. You might even think that the Wikimedia Foundation, which is the managing nonprofit, is that, but it's not. They don't have any editorial control over Wikipedia. I mean, they do, but they never assert it. You see what I'm saying? Legally, they do, but it would cause a great, revolt among the rank and file Wikipedians if they tried to exert such authority. So basically, while it does have a kind of hidden bureaucracy, hidden because a lot of the people in power are anonymous, in other ways, the whole thing still is anarchical. There is no one really in charge. They have ways that, I guess, ways of making decisions that ape democratic processes, but they aren't really democratic. Again, because it's...
And this is where kind of conspiracy land starts, where you're like, hey, this is taken over by the evil guys and by the bots. And
this is perfectly factual. What I'm saying right now, it's perfectly factual. Wikipedia does not have... It doesn't unmask its leadership. 85% of, by my count, 85% of the most powerful accounts on Wikipedia are anonymous. Right? That's just a fact. They admit that.
Okay. And that's where conspiracy starts, because you say, wait a minute, it's factual that these are anonymous, but who's really controlling this? You kind of start to go, well, wait a minute. Do I control it? No, I don't have the, quote, clout to make any changes or even to defend myself. So I'm not on Wikipedia because everybody emails me and says, Sam, do you want to create your own Wikipedia space? And I'm like, no, thanks. However, they do have a Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association Wikipedia page that neither the founder of CSPOA nor myself, the CEO of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, created. But listen, it said it was founded by former Richard Mack, who was, part of the Oath Keepers at the time, so it's a slam right at the start. Then it says, hey, by 2023, the organization was led by Sam Bushman. Now listen, who has been scrutinized for his association with, quote, neo-Confederates and white nationalists, including a close friendship with radio host James Edwards. And it goes on this big old rant. Well, what they fail to mention is I've got black talk show hosts, white talk show hosts, Italian talk show hosts, all on my radio network. They're lying when they manipulate that. But see, I, for the life of me, can't get that changed, Larry.
Well, I'm sorry.
Not true. It's false. It's propaganda because it only tells part of the story. Do I have friends that believe that they are white and they want to advocate for the white race? Yes, I do. But I also have black friends that advocate for their race. I think everybody should advocate for their heritage, shouldn't they?
For sure. Yeah, I'm sorry that you've had these problems. Your complaints are sound very familiar. In fact, I just tweeted a thread about this very problem, about how Wikipedia is essentially an engine of defamation. And there is no recourse because the...
Yeah, who are you going to sue? The anonymous people?
Yeah, exactly. And you can't sue the Wikimedia Foundation, which is the nonprofit that owns the platform, because, well, they hide behind Section 230 protections. So
yeah, they're not responsible for the content. They just own the platform, right?
Right. That's what they say anyway. So the Communications Decency Act means essentially that the owner of the platform, as long as the people on the platform aren't breaking the law, in which case they can, somebody can issue a takedown request, like if there's a copyright violation. But if there's nothing like that going on, or there's just the potential of a lawsuit, well, really nothing can be done.
Nothing can be done because here's what they say to me. When they want to pretend I'm a nobody, they say, oh, Sam Bushman's a nobody. He's so irrelevant. He doesn't matter. He's a white supremacist. He's crazy. Now, that's a complete lie. Mm-hmm. Then what happens is when I get ready to sue him and get a lawyer, they say, oh, but Sam's a super social media rock star. He's a talk show host. He's a TV host. He's a leader of the CSPOA. And so, man, because he's a celebrity, you can't. The same rules don't apply to Sam. We can say anything we want about him. See, the standard's different. And that's how they play the game, Larry.
Agreed.
I'm a super important nobody, my friend.
That's difficult because, again, you look at the normal laws that would have somebody making a false statement liable. And the fact that the endowment can kind of hide behind, another statute and say this isn't liable, even if it's not truthful, even if it harms Sam Bushman or harms somebody else. And that's the complicated thing about this, because you went from where you had these anonymous admins that kind of ignored all rules, which was great because you thought, okay, here's listings, here's information I might not be able to find somewhere else, to wondering when the kind of a certain amount of weaponization came, because there is bias. And the truth is that's something we struggle with on all platforms. I got suspended on X right after Donald Trump, 1 minute and 36 seconds after Donald Trump got suspended, simply because I was talking about election integrity and I was talking about vaccine hesitancy and all sorts of other things, putting out health advice and otherwise. And, of course, that was too much. My voice was too clear. I had to be stopped. So I got my account back, but there's still lots of suppression on X, which makes me look at X as much as I look at Wikipedia and think there's an incredible amount of bias. Now, I've been fortunate enough that Wikipedia hasn't written a profile on me, but I'm sure if they did, I would struggle.
Oh, it would be flattering.
Yeah, I'm sure it would in all the wrong ways. But my point is that's the difficulty. As much as I'd like to have a wiki listing and I'd like it to be truthful, I'm not asking for no bias at all. Put my history, put whatever it is. But you struggle with the person writing it. It's the same thing with AI. Who's writing?
Yeah, like if you want to say Sam hangs out with white people and black people and all of God's children, then by all means say that. That's fine.
Yeah. Larry, we might need to leave this show. I didn't know we were on with a white supremacist. I didn't know
There you
that.
go. That's right.
Now I'm
the problem is, just so Larry knows, the white supremacist they claim is blind.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know what color either of you are, and I don't really care. Look,
I'm
if you
a
stand
little
for God,
golden
family,
brown,
and country,
Sam. I'm
you're a
golden
friend of mine.
brown.
All right. Well, there you go. So, Larry, the problem is it's become so nuanced, and they've learned not to shut everybody down because it creates so much societal upheaval. What they've learned to do, though, is just kind of shadow ban us. So they won't shut you down outright because then you'll have a complaint. But what they do is they just minimize your, quote, footprint, so to speak, to where your footprint is not relevant anymore to a great degree, right?
All right. Well, I mean, and there's a different sort of problem with Wikipedia, right? Because it's not a platform for you to speak to the public. It is actually about you. And there it's very important that they control who can participate and what is said.
All right, hang tight. It turns out to be lies about me in many cases. That's the dark side of it, liberal bias and more. What are the solutions? We're going to talk about it with Larry Sanger in seconds. You're watching and listening to Liberty Roundtable Live.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
Step into the boots of the American West with Range Magazine, where grit meets grace. This is a front row seat to the stories, struggles, and triumphs of ranchers, farmers, and stewards of the land. From jaw-dropping photography to no-nonsense reporting, Range brings you the untold tales of life on the range. Whether you're a city dweller with a cowboy's heart or living life where the pavement ends, Range speaks to the soul of the West. Subscribe today at rangemagazine.com.
Cybercrime is exploding. Take Sarah from Sweet Delights, whose world crumbled after having to close with not being able to bounce back. Small businesses are prime targets, but the right strategies can keep yours safe. Jay Hill, CEO of Network Providers, has co-authored The Cyber Playbook Simplifies Cybersecurity for Business Owners with Strategies to avoid costly breaches and fines. Build a strong cyber attack response. Secure your business with key protections. Cyber threats aren't slowing down, but you can stay ahead. Protect your business. Ensure its security for tomorrow. Get the Cyber Playbook today at networkprovidersinc.com/cyber-playbook or call 385-446-5500 now.
Welcome back to Liberty Roundtable Live, of course, with Sam Bushman, Lance Migliaccio, and our special guest, Larry Sanger, founder of Wikipedia. Man, we're talking about lots of things. One of the things is bias. You know, and Larry, I want to start with this because you've made some really vocal statements. You called out Wikipedia's left-leaning tilt, as slow poison, that it's been blacklisting conservative sources while cozying up to, I think, globalist, academic, secular, and I want to say gasp, progressive views. You've got this philosopher's eye because you've got a PhD in philosophy. And, was that the premise for why you came out with this recent 9 theses on Wikipedia?
Definitely 4 of the 9 theses concern ultimately Wikipedia's bias, its lack of neutrality. That wasn't like maybe the main thing that motivated me to come out with the 9 theses. Actually, I think the thing that I'm most concerned about is, as we were talking about in the last segment, how Wikipedia is an engine of defamation, that it gets away with serious libel all the time. And nevertheless, the fact that Wikipedia is used as essentially a mouthpiece of the establishment is something we never would have dreamed of in the early days. The whole idea that it might become that was just not on
not on the radar. It's kind of like we thought the internet would be great. Everybody should connect and trade information and be incredible. Now we realize, hey, man, the black hats want to screw that all up and cause us problems. You know, not only does Wikipedia libel on a regular basis, but if it gets AI and it can talk, it'll start to slander too, Larry.
That's right. Well, I mean, the fact that AI is trained so much on Wikipedia, and sometimes you ask a question and the only source that it can come up with for an answer is Wikipedia. And there's a reason for that. Wikipedia, it summarizes knowledge in a way that is not done by any other free source online, and that's really convenient, and that's precisely the sort of information that people are looking for and that they're trying to, surface to get access to through AI. And so it continues to be very important that we make sure that Wikipedia is as good as possible, unless Grokpedia does supplant Wikipedia, which is possible, but let's not hold our breath here. We can't guarantee that it will replace Wikipedia. So we need to make sure Wikipedia is as fair as possible.
All right. You talk about solutions in your different thesis papers. There's 9 of them. In thesis 7, you talk about this. Hey, we need a public pulse check. What about public ratings for articles? Will these things help enough? Will they eventually let those things happen on the platform? Are they interested in getting kind of an equilibrium on this? Or has it just been taken over and destroyed for good?
They did an experiment back in between 2010 and 2013 in which they had a public rating system, or a feedback system anyway. I don't think it was a rating. And they actually shut that down. So they didn't like, just the hoi polloi, just the unwashed masses coming in and bad mouthing their beautiful.
Yeah, imagine Sam challenging the white supremacist claim there. Imagine that. Wow.
But the editors, it's kind of the power of the shadows that to me is what it is. Those editors are kind of like demigods. They make or break people with what they write, and I'm sure many of them don't want to be critiqued because they are pushing bias on the platform. It's clear when you go to look at profile, especially conservatives, and of course the news media that's been blocked out. I think Breitbart, Fox News, many others. How do you fix this? The question is, Larry, the theses, when they saw that the endowment fund over at Wikipedia, when the powers that be saw this, and maybe the editors, these demigod editors saw it, what was the reaction to the 9 theses?
Mostly it was hostility. That's what I was expecting. But there was a surprising amount of support, too, and including from some people who have been on the platform for a while and who have a fair bit of pull. So that was nice, I think we can't simply conclude that Wikipedia is just going to can the 9 theses altogether, just to ignore them. They can't ignore them because people are continuing to talk about them, and even on the platform itself, on Wikipedia itself, some of them are discussed more than others, like the idea of letting the public rate articles and give feedback on articles. That's number 7. That one is not discussed as much as others.
And it needs to be discussed more, buddy.
Sure. I can talk about any number of others if you like here.
I want to talk about a little bit of your transition in life.
Sure.
From wiki to faith is kind of the topic here. You've kind of gone through a personal change, haven't you?
Yeah. But before we switch to that, let me just point people to where the 9 theses are. They are now on larrysanger.org. There's a big link up at the top, 9 theses on Wikipedia. And there's a petition for people to sign on the 9 theses page. So please find the link to the petition and sign it. It's actually important. Right. But then about the big change in my life that has happened in the last actually 5 years, as I have found refound Jesus again. I grew up as a Lutheran in the LCMS, the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, the conservative branch, in Washington State and Alaska. And then as a teenager, I found that I couldn't defend the existence of God, and I was very much a rationalist, you might say, that actually, but I really wanted to know what the truth was, and that's actually one of the reasons why I ended up pursuing philosophy. So for 35 years, I was an agnostic. I didn't know whether God existed or not. I wasn't one of these new atheists bad-mouthing religion. I thought that religious people were fine, that religion was even a positive force. I was saying that before it became fashionable to say it. But then in 2019, some friends of mine started telling me about the Epstein stuff, and I just became aware that a lot of the more powerful people in the world are not just contemptuous of Christianity, but they seem to take a pagan view of the world seriously. And without going into too much detail, that actually motivated me to read the Bible in response, essentially. And I did, and that gave me all these new perspectives on the old arguments for the existence of God, which I used to teach to college students, as an agnostic. They couldn't tell whether I believed the arguments or not. That's how I liked it. But I knew the arguments well. I just wasn't convinced. But I was actually reading the Bible that changed my perspective on the arguments. And also, I looked really hard at the traditional answers to difficult questions about the Bible. And I was just amazed that there was this rich history of theology that actually answers those questions.
Yeah, and believe it or not, there's guys who have written books now talking about the fact that, hey, it doesn't matter the theological differences that we believe in. The fact is, this didn't happen from some random accident or some random. There's too much organization, too much order in the universe to be happenstance. And so setting aside political, theological differences, at the end of the day, there's got to be something greater than us is the point, right?
That's a big part of my argument. I thought that argument, which is called the design argument, was one of the strongest. I just thought that by itself it wasn't strong enough to establish the conclusion. I'm actually in the process of writing a book. It's over 600 pages long now, called God Exists, and it is basically an extended philosophical and theological case for the existence.
Yeah, it's like Larry Sanger Shrugs. It'll be that long, right?
Something like that. God shrugs.
But it really shows the point, though, that philosophers and the real thinkers of the world are starting to come to way different conclusions than they have in the past. Is the quintessential focus, right?
That's true. There's a lot of examples of people like that. Basically, people are not scared of the new atheists, and the new atheists themselves seem to have lost a lot of steam. They're actually seeing, especially since 2015, 2020, that religion actually has done a lot of good in the world, and they don't want to be on the wrong side, so to speak, if it really comes down to a serious sort of, Civil War type struggle, even if we're just talking about the culture war. Yeah.
Right. Well, does Wikipedia have religion at its center?
I'm sorry?
Does Wikipedia have religion at its center? It was a little joke. Can you stay with us longer, Larry?
Sure, of course.
All right. Larry Sanger, ladies and gentlemen. He's with myself, yours truly, Sam Bushman, and Lance Migliaccio, thebigmig.com. And Larry Sanger is the president of the Knowledge Standards Foundation. He's best known as the co-founder of Wikipedia. Check out his incredible works at larrysanger.org. He's a philosopher, a technology innovator. We're digging in as Liberty Roundtable Live continues. I'm Sam Bushman. Thanks so much for watching. We're syndicated by the Loving Liberty Networks, lovingliberty.net. Spread the word, share the love, and God save the Republic of the United States of America.